Ugh. Hey guys, I'm back already. 1 week. So I'm going to try to upload once a week. If I can. I'm hoping for every Friday to hit the mark and upload a review, but if I can't do that, I'm really sorry. I'm just saying that in advance so nobody gets mad at me when I don't upload every Friday, but I'll try. I'll do my best. And I'll try to film some reviews ahead of time to be sure that I at least have one ready every week when Friday comes around. Anyway, so this week we're talking about a French movie. Ooh la la. I love French movies. I actually do. I really, really enjoy French movies quite a bit. One of my favorite movies is a French movie. I'll put the poster up right here. Anyway, so this week we're talking about a René Laloux 1973 animated film called Fantastic Planet. Even though you already saw the title card, so you already knew that. Fantastic Planet. This movie is fantastic. I've already seen it once. This was a rewatch, and I thoroughly enjoyed it on the second viewing. So, Fantastic Planet, the French name is Le Planète Sauvage, which translates to the Savage Planet, actually, not Fantastic Planet, but whatever. It's a film about this world where these blue humanoid creatures rule over these tiny little humans called hommes. And the story is essentially these hommes one day. There's one homme called Terre, who his mom gets killed, and he gets raised by one of these blue creatures, whose name I seem to have forgotten. Let me check, one sec. They're called drags. I had no idea. I completely forgot. Anyway, so on this planet of drags, these giant blue humanoid creatures, humans are the oppressed race. They're basically treated as pets, like, not even like dogs, more like, I don't know, like if you had like a pet worm as a kid and then it died one day and you were like, oh shit, you know? But they're treated like pets. And one day, Terre, who is one of the hommes, he escapes bringing with him like drag technology. And he meets up with a bunch of other hommes in the forest, and together they plan a mission to fly to one of the satellites called the Fantastic Planet, the Wild Planet, the Savage Planet. That's the Savage Planet. So that's the story, pretty much. And the problems with this movie, and there are problems. I said it was incredible, and it is. But the problems with this movie lie almost entirely in the script. The script is so incredibly slow that it's difficult to watch this movie and be awake at the same time. I'm kidding. But it's a very slow and tedious movie. It really takes its time showing you the world, showing you the hommes, showing you the drags, showing you all of these plot revelations that happen in like 5-minute chunks. Every scene is like a new plot. That's the one thing that actually is good about the script. The best thing about the script is that it keeps moving. That's one thing I'll give the script. The movie is always moving forward. It never dwells or dwindles on anything, and that's the best part of the script. But the only problem is that it does that in so much time. It takes so much time for one thing to happen in the script that it just feels like a drag through most of the movie. That's the reason I can't give it like a 10 out of 10 or anything. I guess I'll focus on the positives. So, on the technical side, the movie is fantastic. The animator Roland Topor, he did a phenomenal job on the animation. The animation is unique. There's nothing out there like Fantastic Planet. I've seen René Laloux's other shorts, like L'Escargot and Le Témour. They're just like this, but there's nothing else that's not René Laloux or Roland Topor that is like Fantastic Planet. There's nothing quite like it. It's very, very unique, very original, very creative, extremely creative. Like some of the creatures and the sets, not the sets, but some of the creatures and the art for the world, some of the landscapes and some of the art for the world is so creative and so imaginative that it's difficult not to just stand there in awe of it all. It really is awe-inspiring, this film. It's really, really fantastic. Another aspect of the movie that I've thoroughly enjoyed was the voice acting, actually. I thought the voice acting was really, really well done. Even though it's in French and it's difficult to tell sometimes, I really felt the emotion in most of the lines, and I think everybody did a pretty remarkable job with that. But just the experimental, almost hallucinogenic sometimes way that the story is told is very, very, very disorienting sometimes. And I think that's part of why it's so slow, is just to really let you feel that, like, 70... It's a very, very 70s film. I should also point that out. The music is, like, this cool, like, funk, and the animation, it feels very 70s. It doesn't feel like it came out of any other era. The story, the sci-fi feels very 70s. It was in the 70s that, like, all these weird science fiction movies came out, like Solaris. I can't think of any other examples. All these weird science fiction movies came out in the 70s, and they all feel the same way sometimes. Sometimes they all feel kind of similar, even though they have widely different stories, widely different styles. But this felt very much like Solaris. It felt very much like I was watching somebody who saw Solaris and thought, I can do that. And they surprisingly can. Most people who say that can't do it, but René Laloux could. And he can, and he did. It's a very 70s film. And it feels that way, and it captures the era very, very well in a way that I found extraordinary, actually. It was one of my favorite aspects of the movie. It felt like I was transported back to the 70s watching this. And the acting felt very 70s, which is why I even brought it up, which is that the French movies of the 70s, they have this very, like, elegant style of language that I find very sweet, actually. It's very delicate, and it's very flowery, and that's how a lot of the dialogue feels in this film. It's like, ooh, there! Like, Tiwa, who is the main character of the Drags, she talks about her terre, I should say. She talks about terre, like, ooh, there you are, you know? And this isn't to make fun of their delivery or anything, but it's just to say that it feels very soft and staccato sometimes. And it's a very fitting delivery for this film, which already has that staccato feeling thanks to the 70s funk and the 70s style and the animation style, which is all kind of... It's all very papery. And if every cut feels like a razor blade slicing through the film. Like, the editing is razor sharp in this film. There's a lot of fades and stuff like that towards the end of the scenes, but in the scenes, it's just every cut is just... It's almost impossible to keep up. But the editing is fantastic. The music is fitting. I wouldn't say it's great music, just because, I mean, I'm not a music guy, but I've never been a huge fan of, like, 70s funk or anything. But this funk felt, like, fun. So it fit, and it fit with the style of the film. It fit with the themes of the film. I think the themes of, like, how we as humans treat our pets. How we as humans treat our animals and how we treat our world. I think it has a very environmental, kind of liberal perspective, outlook on life, which I really enjoyed. It was very fun to see. It was very enlightening to see, actually. It made me really think, because when I was little, I used to like draw chalk lines around ants and force them to fight, and I was like thinking about that while I was watching the movie. And yeah, it really does make you think. It's a very deep, very provocative movie. It's not afraid to push some boundaries. It's really not afraid to get in your face. And the only big problem with it is the pacing, which is too slow, and I wish there was more to the story. That's another big thing. I wish there were more things that the Ums had to deal with. They already have to deal with a lot. They have to deal with the drags, they have to deal with the environment, but I just wish they had to fight like other Ums or something like that. I just wish there was a little bit more substance to the story. It felt like a very light framework instead of a true plot driving it through. The film never felt driven. Like I mentioned earlier, it moves very, very successively from one point to another, but that drive to keep moving doesn't feel present very much. I mentioned in my last review that the film Alice from 1988, doesn't have a core. And this is an example of a movie that does have a core. That environmentalist, how we treat our pets angle is really, really powerful, and it works fantastically well. Fantastic. Haha. I am a comedian. That's Fantastic Planet. It's a wonderful film. It's got great animation. If you're a fan of sleek, interesting styles of animation, if you're a fan of French cinema, if you're a fan of the 70s, I would recommend this movie to almost anyone. I would just warn them that it gets a little slow sometimes. I'm going to give this movie a 91%. And yeah, that's the review. Thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, feel free to like, feel free to comment. What should I review next? Tell me. Feel free to subscribe to the Patreon. Feel free to tell me if I should stream on Twitch. We can watch some movies together. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. And that's going to be it for me. Bye-bye.